Ketone-IQ. Tell me about this.
Energy is the most important problem. Like, if you can help people have better energy, you can help them do everything else in their lives.
Right.
And so that's the North Star for me. That's what gets me excited every day, is to make something that's meaningfully different, that helps people, especially in these like compromised states, whether it's hypoxia, or we see a lot with people who have different types of cognitive decline. Ketones really help rescue brain activity, and just in everyday people, it seems like it just shakes the rust off the chain.
Right.
But the initial reason I picked this was I came in tops down into the space and looked at what's even interesting. Like, what should exist that doesn't already exist? If there was something cooler to work on, I would have gone and worked on that instead. I wasn't like born to do ketones per se. My passion came from human performance in general, and then just looked under a bunch of different rocks of like, oh, is ashwagandha interesting? Is this interesting? Like, what's actually interesting? What's the biggest needle mover? And that's where I kept coming back to ketones, which is why isn't someone freaking figure this out? You can make your body make a lot of ketones. If you do a lot of endurance, if you're fasting or you're starving, your body makes a lot of ketones. And you make it especially so that your brain can function when you're in these challenged states. So it was the initial insight that like, hey, like if ketones are so cool, why can't you go to the store and buy a shot of ketones? Is there something with a better performance profile that you can have on top of or instead of just adding more caffeine when you're in that kind of challenged state? So that was the initial premise, and there was good science behind it. But science is this active living field. There's always more to do. We continue doing more. In 2019, we got a $6 million contract with the United States Department of Defense Special Operations Command to create a drinkable ketone as high performance energy for physically and cognitively demanding missions. Historically, a lot of the DoD funds go into arms, go into radar systems, go into like hardware. It takes $1 million to train a Navy SEAL or an Army Ranger. And so if you're able to extend or improve warfighter performance in a meaningful way, that's worth something. And not to mention just the human factor, just like taking care of our guys.
Right. What did you show that would improve performance, like for a SEAL or a Ranger, or that the Department of Defense was interested in, like double-blind placebo study? What would people taking this do better than somebody not?
And it was double-blind placebo.
Was it?
Yeah. In hypoxia, ketones help with performance. And the other area is cognitive efficiency, which is basically things like target practice. When you're in a tired state, people are more accurate in that double-blind placebo-controlled context.
I mean, is that why the Tour de France guys were so interested in it?
Yeah.
Because I saw this year, a lot of those guys were using Ketone-IQ.
Yeah, the pro tour teams were real early in getting into. We've been working with the pro tour teams since early days when we started working with the DoD. So 2018, 19, because they were looking for every edge.
Yeah.
Tour de France is gnarly. I mean, I don't have to tell you. It's racing one of those stages at like the pace of the guy all the way in the back would probably kill most people. That's
no, they're freaks.
They're absolute freaks.
So many biomarkers that they look at to make sure they're getting everything they can out of the racers. So if it's good enough for them, it seems like that's all the validation one should need.
Conor McGregor hit us up, and then we got connected in with Jake Paul, and we've just been really pushing into combat sports more recently, because I mean that's a whole other endurance and cognitive sharpness in the later rounds. That's super. I mean, that could be the difference between getting knocked in the face or not. I couldn't be more opposite. Riding a bike versus fighting. Yeah. But what they have a lot in common is that the inches matter. We're for sale in Vitamin Shop and Sprouts. We started working with John Jones. His team reached out to us, and we've started working together and doing some cool partnership stuff. What I'll say is that it's come a really long way. A lot of people know about it, and I still think we're still super early.